Press Podcast. We are live for you on this Sunday night, Week 11 takeaway show that we have for you. What a week of college football we had yesterday. A lot of upsets. We'll be getting into all the reaction, everything like that. There has been no coaches been fired by the time of this making on 7 p.m. on Sunday. That's like the first time in a month. So that was really good to see. No coaches got fired. So always in favor of that. A lot of takeaways we'll be going over today. We've found out a lot of truths about a lot of team as well. So we're going to be going through a lot of these games here, giving you guys a game recap, takeaway, and looking forward to the college football rankings coming out on Tuesday. There will be some movement in the top 10, so it'll be very interesting. But if you guys are new to the channel, my name is Treyson Dayton, and this is TD Sports Press. Give us a follow and subscribe. We're almost at 30 subscribers on YouTube, which would be a great goal to hit. We got some big things planned for the future of this channel, so super excited for what the future really holds for this channel. So with that being said, let's get right into this episode. The first game that we are going to talk about is the big one of the week. Whoa, 1 second. That looks terrible. All right, there we go. We have number 8 Texas Tech played BYU yesterday morning, afternoon, wherever you are, part of the country, in Lubbock, Texas yesterday. This was a huge game. Texas, I found this very interesting going into the game. They opened up at like an 8.5-point favorite. That line ended about 13.5, and it wasn't enough, honestly, when we think about this game. Texas Tech, BYU. Texas Tech just, this is kind of like, for an analogy, if you guys have an older brother, this is like the older brother taking the younger sibling out in the backyard and, roughhouse and doing whatever, and that Texas Tech was the older brother and BYU was the younger brother. Texas Tech just did whatever they wanted. They did whatever they wanted. It wasn't good for BYU. Texas Tech, they dominated the line of scrimmage, and that's why they won the game. Anything Texas Tech wanted to do, I mean, their weakest point, if there was a weak link in the team, was their quarterback play. But Morton is, he's still a really high, a good quarterback. And so Texas Tech, I mean, they kind of exposed BYU to some extent of what BYU's weakness is. But this is more about how good Texas Tech is, in my opinion. I don't think anyone should be taking BYU out of the top 25, nothing like that. They should still be in the top 13 of the college football rankings. But, man, BYU's got to figure some things out. It was a hostile environment. I mean, that atmosphere at Texas Tech was amazing to see. That's what made college football so amazing. And so it was an awesome atmosphere to see. And let's talk about it for BYU. BYU, they did not start out strong. I think they went 3 and out, or they might have got a first down. LJ Martin got a first down, and they punted, and the punter shanked the punt and went about 20 yards. They get a 3 and out to start the game against Texas Tech, and then Parker Kingston, he fumbles the punt return. In terms of starting out a game, it couldn't have started worse for BYU, and their offense couldn't do anything. And I think that, like I said, that's credit to Texas Tech's defense. But if BYU wants to play with the big boys, they're going to have to figure that out. In terms of big boys, I don't consider Utah there yet, but it was not a good showing for just BYU on the road. This was a big environment. A lot of people were saying they were frauds or whatever they were, and they kind of acted like they were. They didn't score a touchdown to the fourth quarter. It was like 20. I mean, it was like a 3-score game the entire game, and it ended 3 scores, 22 points. Yeah, 3 scores, but. With both these teams, I think we're going to see this matchup again in the Big 12 championship. I would be shocked if we didn't, but Texas Tech beats BYU, single-handedly without a problem. Texas Tech is probably going to move up in the rankings, I'd guess, to number 7 behind Ole Miss. And I think BYU, I don't know where BYU falls. It depends on how the committee looks at that loss and the value of that loss in terms of, are they going to look how much they got beat by, or are they just going to look by the opponent of who they got beat by, if that makes sense. So we'll definitely see what happens with that game. But that was a huge game in the Big 12. Like I said, we're going to see this game probably back in December in the Big 12 championship. We're going to start with the big one. Going on to the, I think this, I would say, A huge win for number 3 Texas A&M went to Missouri and did whatever they wanted to yesterday. Again, like Texas Tech, but Texas A&M, I'm sick of them being disrespected. I have Texas Tech at number 2 in my rank. They should be. Why are they behind Indiana? Makes no sense to me. Texas A&M, they just go out and they beat the other teams. They don't just beat them. They beat they beat them by a couple of touchdowns, other than Arkansas. That was a little bit different. That was a close call, but this line was like 6.5, and I was really confused because I like Texas A&M's a great football team, and everyone's waiting for Texas A&M. They're going to have that game or 2-game stretch where they just lose everything like they normally do. But this is a different Texas Tech team. This is a team led by Mike Elko that is well coached, and they were well coached. They put up 38 points against Missouri. Missouri's defense really hasn't given up that many points. To Kansas, I think they did. There was probably one other time, but they did whatever they wanted to. And then you got Missouri on the other hand. If you had told me Missouri scored 17 points, I would have said they would have been in the football game. But they weren't. They couldn't stop Texas A&M's offense. Texas A&M's offense is really good, and I think Texas A&M's the best team in the SEC right now. I don't think that's hard to dispute. They're probably the odds-on favorite to win the SEC right now. They still have some games coming up that'll be interesting to see, but everything for Texas A&M looks like everything's right in front of them, honestly. So Missouri, on the other hand, they got their season's kind of lost. The best thing Missouri can do is retain their head coach, and he doesn't leave. I think they have a really good head coach, but he's in a lot of coaching searches right now, which is not good. So Missouri, like I said, the best thing they can do is keep their head coach there. It's just been an injury-riddled season for Missouri. There's just nothing they can do about it. It's just sports. You're going to have injuries. You're going to have the injury bug, and they have the injury bug this year. And they're out of the college football playoff ranking, they're out of the rankings. I assume that they'll be out. They are 22 in the college football rankings. I don't see them being ranked, but yeah, that's probably where we're going to end that game. Huge win for Texas A&M. That was huge. Moving on. Another game that we called right on the channel. Number 9 Oregon goes into Iowa City and wins 18-16. This game went exactly how I said it was going to be. It was going to be ugly. It was going to be a weird score in the teens. I said that. You guys can go check it. I said it on Thursday. But Oregon beats Iowa 18-16. And we had a safety in the game. I called there to be a safety. It was like in the first 5 minutes of the game. And Oregon just ran the football better than Iowa did at the end of the day. Or just enough. I wouldn't say it was better than Iowa, but it was just enough to win. Iowa had that 58-yard kick in the 58-yard field goal. That was incredible. I thought that might have been the icing there, but Oregon, they did enough to win. They made enough plays. They are a tough, resilient football team. Oregon is, and we're going to see Oregon. We're going to see Oregon in the college football playoffs. I have a hard time. I see Oregon winning out personally right now, and that you might be saying, they beat Iowa. They did it on the road. They went into the road into like elements they really don't see in Oregon, and they beat them. Everyone was saying it was hawk weather, Iowa weather, but the story was Oregon just did enough. They just made enough more. Oregon just made more plays than Iowa did at the end of the day. At the end of the day. Excuse me, sorry. But this was a huge win for Oregon. And you look at Iowa. Iowa lets this opportunity squander. They have 3 losses now. They've gotten beat by Iowa State. They got beat by Indiana and Oregon. And both, I would say, in a different universe, I was undefeated right now, but they're not. They could have won all 3 of those games. They're right there. They just can't finish it. And that's probably what's going to cost them a spot in the college football playoffs. I don't see Iowa getting in with 3 losses with the games they have left on their schedule. This was their golden opportunity to really move up in the rankings, and they just didn't make enough plays at the end of the day. Yeah. This was one that Iowa really needed to have in order to make the college football playoffs but they just didn't get it. They didn't make enough plays, so I think Iowa is going to be eliminated from the playoff contention. I don't really see a path for them right now unless they went out and there's chaos in the Big Ten. But even then, I have a hard time seeing it. But who knows? Maybe the Big Ten will self-destruct like the ACC, which we'll talk about. coming up in the show. We'll get to that part. But huge win for Oregon, going on the road and winning it. A lot of people doubted them with the elements. They're like, oh, this is Iowa's game. And Oregon just went in and won the game. They made one more play than Iowa at the end of the day, that field goal. So huge win for Oregon. We'll see what Oregon does going in the future. They still have USC, Washington on their schedule. So I'll be very interested to see what Oregon does. So let's move on to our next game here. Our next game is Alabama beats LSU 20-9. This was, I think, LSU's best effort that they've gave the entire year. Like I said on, what was it, Thursday, when we predicted this game, I think we're going to get LSU's best effort. But at the end of the day, Alabama made plays. I know that's probably been the theme of the episode this far, but Alabama made enough plays to win the football game. I've been saying this for a while now. Alabama's a run game away from being the best team in the country, in my opinion. They have a really good passing game. The offensive line and running game is the separation of Alabama winning the national championship and not playing in the national championship. But Alabama, they won 20-9. This was LSU, like I said, LSU's best defensive effort. I think only giving up 20 points to an Alabama team. I think Florida State, they scored less, but like I said, Alabama made enough plays to win the game. Like I've been saying, like if Alabama figures out that how to run the football, like they're gonna be dangerous. And Kalen DeVore, hey, they finally won a game that wasn't a one-possession game, and they are really good at winning those one-possession games. But this game, this is a game that I wasn't watching. I was watching another game at this time. But Alabama, man, they're tough. They're tough. They have a really good resume right now, and they're probably going to be playing Texas A&M in the SEC championship unless one of those two teams lose. I think both teams control their destinies. I'm trying to think. I guess Alabama and Texas, they haven't played. But yeah, this was a great effort from an Alabama team. And LSU, man, they just got to keep riding the ship. You have an interim coach. You don't really have anything to play for. You just got to keep playing. And we'll see what their schedule ends up. We'll see that kind of program they have down there, how they finish the year. But I thought this was a better effort we've seen on LSU on the defensive side of the ball that we have seen the entire year. And I've been saying this for a while, but Garrett Nussmeier's hurt, and he's been hurt since August with that knee injury that they said wasn't a big deal. I really do believe that he is actually hurt. Yeah, that's kind of just how I see this situation right now. But, hey, another big win for Alabama. They're going to stay probably at number 4. I don't see someone moving on. All right, let's get into this game. This game was probably the best game of the early slate. I'm trying to remember off the early slate. Yeah, this is definitely the best game. Number 2, Indiana beats Penn State 27-24 with the catch of the year from Indiana. That was the catch of the year. Now let's talk about the game itself. Man, I really thought Penn State was going to pull this one out. I really did. They had a great effort on both sides of the ball. And the moral of the story is Indiana made one more play than Penn State, that play in the end zone to win the game. 27-24. Huge game. Indiana, they looked like it wasn't good, and then Fernando had a huge game. I know a lot of people have been saying it's a Heisman moment, and then they're going to point out what Ohio State did to Penn State. I can understand that, but I think the reason why they think it's Fernando's moment is because based off Julian saying has more help than Fernando at this point. Like, obviously, Jeremiah Smith, Caleb Downs, but not Caleb Downs, Golden Tate. But anyway, let's get back into this. Yeah, Indiana just made enough plays at the end of the day to win this game. Penn State, man, they are so close to figuring out these games. There's a couple of games, Penn State, that they could have won, that they could have gone the other way. I'm still trying to figure out Penn State, man. This was a team that had a lot of hype at the beginning of the year, and they still haven't won a game since September. I think that's the date. I think they're like 3-7 now. So with the expectations that Penn State have had, they just have not been able to put it all together. And credit to Indiana. Man, if you don't like Kirk Cignetti, I don't know, you don't like college football. I'll be honest with you. I love the way Kirk Cignetti talks to the media. I love it. If you guys didn't know, yesterday, the Fox reporter, I don't remember what her name was, she was saying, Indiana, they've never won here. And Kirk says, well, this group's never played, or he's never played there, just something of that nature. I love that response. He's confident in his team, and I think the confidence is showing in Indiana. And, normally they're beating teams by a lot of, touchdowns, but, man, they made it in one play. You gotta love Kirk Cignetti. He is awesome. I think he's awesome for college football. Honestly, I can't believe that Alabama didn't hire this guy. I'll be honest with you. Instead of Kalen DeVore. Kalen DeVore is really good, but man, could you imagine Kirk Cignetti at Alabama with his personality? Oh, I can't. But hey, I love seeing Indiana back in the national picture for football, not for basketball. For football, there's probably Indiana football has been better than Indiana's basketball team the last 2 years. So, Kirk Cignetti's really changed the program around. He's going to be around. He's not going to be in the coaching search. He signed that that contract extension. So he's happy right in Indiana. I think they're going to keep building this program, and this might be a team in Indiana that makes a run. They really do. I know they're number 2 right now, but this could be a team that makes a run right now. So great game that game was. All right, now we're going to get to, I hate talking. It's like every week we talk about the ACC and the blunder that it is in the ACC. Wake Forest over number 14, Virginia, 16-9. If you guys remember on Thursday, if you guys turned it on Thursday, when we previewed this game, I said it feels like whenever you get punked in the ACC the week before, you win the second, you win the next week. For example, SMU got beat by Wake Forest, and then they beat Miami the next week. And then Wake Forest got punked by Florida State last week, and now they beat Virginia. So is the trend going to keep going? I have no clue. But Wake Forest beating Virginia, this was more about Virginia just not making enough plays. They have everything in front of them, and they just fell short to the pressure. And they're going to pay for it in the rankings this week, I feel like. I think they'll probably be in the 20s. Virginia had everything in front of them, and they're still in the race for the ACC championship. Everything like that is still intact, but just the way they got beat, man. They had no offense. They weren't able to do anything. And credit to Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest is 6-3 now, making a bowl game. That's great for the program. I think their win, if I remember, their over-under win total was like 4.5. I don't remember exactly, but a great game for Wake Forest. But Virginia, you have the playoffs to play for, the ACC and you just lay a dud at home. It wasn't like this game was on the road, but November air, it's a little bit thinner. There's a lot more pressure. I like to say there's a lot more pressure in November than there is in September to win these games. That's why we see more upsets in November than we do in September, in my opinion. There's some teams that play to win, and then there's teams that play to not lose. And Virginia played in a way to not lose. And when you play football like that, I have played the sport, and so just so everyone, I don't get hate in the comments, but I have played the sport. And when you play not to lose, you're not going to win. It's just you're not going to win. You're so scared to make a mistake that you're trying to be super safe, make the precise read. Wait for that to happen. That you're going to have issues like this. So you got to play to win the game. And I just don't think Virginia did. They honestly just played, just good enough to beat Wake Forest, but they didn't. Wake Forest beat them. So, all right, from one ACC team to the next ACC team. I can't even believe we're going to talk about this. California beats Louisville 29-26. If you guys can't tell, the ACC is just beating up each other. This is like they're pulling a Big 12. The Big 12, if you know the Big 12 conference, normally they just beat the crap out of each other. But California, they go on the road to Louisville and win in overtime, 29-26. California has a couple, questionable losses. California could have 2 losses realistically, but at the end of the day, I think they played to their potential. I really like their quarterback. In Louisville, man, they played not to win. That you cannot play not to win in November. You got to play to win the game. You cannot play not to lose. And that's what happened in this game. And Louisville, they're probably going to be, I had Louisville and Virginia both in the 20s in my rankings this week. That's where they probably should be, in all honesty. But yeah, man, it's not a good look for the ACC. The ACC better hope that Miami, Georgia Tech, and Pitt just win out. I know Miami and Pitt play each other in the coming weeks. Pitt plays Notre Dame. We'll be going over that game as we go. But, man, it stinks for the ACC. I don't know. I think Miami is going to be, or is Georgia? Yeah, Georgia Tech's in front of Miami. But, man, it really is not looking good for that conference right now, I would say. So California gets the win over number 15 Louisville. They made enough plays. It's about them. They won in overtime, but Louisville and Virginia, we talked about, you cannot play to lose, and they both played not to lose, not to win. There we go. That's the saying. All right, let's get into our last game. Wisconsin beats number 23 Washington 13-10. And what a game for Wisconsin. Shout out to Luke Fickell. He did not wear the vest. I know a lot of Wisconsin fans were talking about that. And this is a huge win for Luke Fickell after he got the AD support that he's coming back in 2026. They get a huge win against number 23 ranked Washington. I don't remember the last time Wisconsin has a win against a program like this. It goes really far back in my memory. Probably before Lou Fickell. Maybe Lou Fickell's got a couple games in there. But Wisconsin, they've honestly played with teams. They just haven't made enough or been able to win the game. And they finally put it all together and won 13-10 in an ugly Big Ten fashion. And they were more physical than Washington. The Wisconsin offensive line did a great job against that Washington front. And, they did what they had to. And this pushed, I think, Washington out of the college football playoffs. I don't see a path for them right now unless, USC and Oregon's left, maybe? But, it just stinks. But this was a huge one. This one was more about Luke Fickell and Wisconsin just winning this game. But that's our last one here. So if you made it this far, might as well subscribe to the channel. We're at 27 subscribers at the time of this filming. We are 3 subscribers away from 30. If we can hit 30 subscribers, that'd be awesome. Check out our TikTok over there. We're live on TikTok every day. Post a video a day on TikTok as well. So with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back live for Week 12 playoff reaction. Game predictions on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. So I'm looking forward, hoping to seeing you guys all there. So with that being said, have a great Sunday night. We'll see you back here on Tuesday.